This podcast is a member of the Place to Be Nation family. Visit us at placetobenation.com, the only place to be in your pop culture world.
Place to Be Nation Pop Experience. Welcome to today's edition of the movie review of the day. I am Andy Atherton, back with you here on a Friday, closing out another fun week. And for today's selection, I'm going back to 2006 for The Devil Wears Prada. Now, the new one, the sequel, comes out a week from today, but next week is a theme week, which I will tell you about later. Before we call it a week here. So I won't have a chance to review, present, give my thoughts on The Devil Wears Prada before the sequel comes out, like that day. But I wanted to, do it justice because this is a movie I've wanted to cover on a podcast for quite some time now. It was on it's been on the wish list for Laugh in Theater for a bit, although that, pod is kind of on a long-ass hiatus at the moment. But it is actually one of my favorite movies. I love this movie. There are so many great performances in this movie. It is kind of like, I want to say it's like almost like a perfect movie. I mean, would you call it a romantic comedy? Kind of, but the romance is not really front and center in this movie. So let's talk about the logline first. Within this aspiration to become a journalist, Andy, a smart but sensible young graduate, travels to New York. She starts working as an assistant to one of the city's biggest high-fashion magazine editors, the cynical Miranda Priestley. Now, Anne Hathaway stars as Andy Sachs. Meryl Streep, my favorite Meryl Streep performance is Miranda Priestley. We have Adrian Grenier. At the time, he was kind of hot because of Entourage, plays Nate. Emily Blunt plays Emily, one of the first real times we got to see Emily Blunt. I'm not sure what she may have done before this, but she really was the breakout performance in this movie. Stanley Tucci as Nigel, he kills it the entire movie. We have Simon Baker as Christian Thompson, Tracy Thomas as Lily, Rich Sommer as Doug, Daniel Sunjata as James Holt, and other people rounding out the rest of the cast. You have a lot of famous fashion designers end up in the movie with cameos because they do take place at these Met galas and Paris Fashion Week and all these things. And I mean, this movie, let me just say, first of all, Anne Hathaway, she is great because of her transformation that she goes through from, this kind of not innocent, but, and kind of like frumpy. And you see her like, she's a pretty girl, but, she doesn't dress, she's kind of everyday, kind of plain, and she goes through quite the thing. Meryl Streep, her delivery of lines, her facial expressions, the pursing of the lips in the scenes, and the way she says, "That's all." I mean, there are so many great in there. Emily Blunt, it's a word I really don't want to use on a podcast, but she's a see you next Tuesday a lot of times in this movie, but in a very funny way. And Stanley Tucci, he is just, Nigel is so charming, and he, you think it's really interesting how once he gets to know Andy, how his guard comes down a little bit, because he's kind of a jerk to her in the beginning. He does say a lot of stuff to her, and he's kind of like tough on her continually, but the toughness starts to in the beginning. Let me talk about Nigel for a second. In the beginning, Nigel's tough because he wants to kind of weed her out because he doesn't think that she really belongs there. But then the toughness that he gives her, it kind of changes to a more of a mentor, and because he just knows how smart she is, how good she is, how she anticipates. I mean, look, she doesn't know a lot about fashion, but she is wicked smart, as our friends from Boston would say, because the difference between her, why she kind of exceeds Emily in the pecking order in the movie is that Emily knows a lot about fashion and she will do anything and she wants to be there. Andy, wants to be a journalist, and she's just there because it's a job. And then she kind of buys into it and kind of sees, but beyond the surface of the magazine, and feels like she could do some good there. But she's also very smart where she can pick things up and she can anticipate, and she really outshines Emily, which is really kind of what happens in the movie. So, I mean, and the arcs are really, I talked about, Nigel and Andy's arcs. Miranda stays Miranda, and she has to be that way. But you can definitely tell by the end of this movie, she respects the hell out of Andy. Spoilers, okay, it's a 20-year-old movie, but, Andy basically throws it all away in the end. And after like a little heart-to-heart, how she, Miranda screws over Nigel to protect herself from her getting replaced at Runway. She puts her main competition over to run James Holt's company. And she says she does the same thing to Andy. Andy did the same thing to Emily, which I don't really see it as much, although, poor Emily gets sent out on like an errand, and she ends up getting hit by a cab when she's not paying attention and breaks her leg and can't go to Paris. I agree with Andy, though. She really doesn't have a choice. So, but then she throws everything away, and the job, the whatever's going to happen to her, and she kind of like regroups because she kind of became an asshole in her own way. Like, she cheats on Nate, or they break up, or whatever you want to say. She has falling out with Lily. Doug is kind of just there. Rick Summer does a fine job, but he's kind of just there. Christian Thompson, Simon Baker, I guess he's the closest thing you might have to an antagonist in the movie, because I don't really consider Miranda an antagonist in this movie. He charms the pants off of Andy, gets in her pants, and she finds out that he is up to, he's part of the coup d'etat to get rid of Miranda, and they want to bring Jacqueline over from French Runway to run Runway proper, and he was going to be the head of like editorial or something for her. So he was really, he was playing it, and Tracy Toms, she does fine as the best friend who kind of calls Andy out on her shit, which is good. But Daniel Sunjata, who you can see now in High Potential, he's fine. He's very charming. It's funny. They all understand what Andy's going through and how tough Miranda is to work for. And, let's talk about Emily's character arc in this movie. So yeah, she's a bitch basically, and she's stuck up and she's into fashion, makes fun of her, but ends up having like some respect for her, because Andy's a good person down deep, right? She's always looking out for Emily. She backs her up. When Emily's got a really bad cold, she kind of steps up. Emily kind of messes up and shows that, you there has to be more to you than fashion knowledge to make it. You have to kind of know people. You have to be smart and quick and all that stuff. I'm not saying that the character's not, but she, falls flat a few times and allows Andy to kind of move in, unintentionally. I don't think Andy's intending to do it. One of my favorite things, though, in the end is when we see Andy, she's left Runway. She's kind of maybe rekindling with Nate, where Nate is moving up to Boston. He's a cook, a chef. He becomes a sous chef at a restaurant up in Boston. So he's moving up there. And, Andy gets a job interview, which I think she gets the job at the place. It's like a small paper or something like that, or a small magazine. And she ends up walking by the building where she worked for Runway. And it reminds her she calls Emily and tells her she has all these clothes from Paris that she can't use. And she wants to give them to Emily, because that's really what Emily really wanted. Emily wanted to go to Paris, but she also wanted to get all the clothes that they were going to be getting from the designers. And you could definitely see like Emily on the phone, how appreciative she is and how much it makes she feels. And she's kind of similar to Miranda, where she has to keep up the act of being such a bitch, really. And she does say, like, I'll have to take him in. This is a huge imposition, but we'll get him. And you see on her face how happy she is. Then she turns to the girl who has replaced Andy, that she's got large shoes to fill. I hope you know that. And she came to respect and I think kind of liked her. And then we have Miranda. So also right after she talks to Emily, Miranda comes out and I think this is the first time her and Andy see each other since Andy left in Paris. And she, you see Miranda kind of, Andy waves at her and smiles, and Miranda just like, gives her like a look with her sunglasses, pulls them down a little bit, but then you could see, Andy walking away and Miranda kind of like proud to see this, what she came into, this smart, now confident, fashionable young woman who can do anything, right? And she gets that little smile, like, oh God, she and probably gained a lot of respect from Miranda for walking away. And she has this like kind of like this smile on her face that's like, I that girl's gonna do something, and I kind of feels like she had something to do with it. But then like that quickly goes away when she tells the driver to go. But I just love this movie to bits. I'm not doing how I traditionally do these reviews. I just kind of wanted to talk about the characters because I think, yes, the storyline is great. There are some great scenes in this movie, but this movie is really like one of those studies in character, how to write characters, how to write their arc, how you care about them, how, you give them flaws and you give them these little moments that, these looks, and these actors really bring it home. And that's why I really love this movie. And there's very few scenes that like I don't want to watch. So maybe there's some of the Paris stuff, but any scene that involves Miranda is gold. And Stanley Tucci, he's got to be probably one of the most charming individuals to ever walk the face of this planet. But I'm really excited to see the sequel, which I'm going to see. My girlfriend already made us get tickets a few weeks ago, so we had them secured. So we're going to be going opening weekend. So I will be doing a review of Devil Wears Prada 2, and that will drop after next week's theme week, which I'm going to tell you right now. With today, a movie that I'm actually planning to see as well is Michael, the one of the latest biopics, and I'm interested. Look, he had a checkered life later in life, I guess, but he was the king of pop. Incredible talent, incredible artist. So I'm going to go see it. And so to lead in to kind of celebrate that, we're doing a whole week on biopics. We'll probably do multiple weeks on biopics over the years upcoming. If this, God willing, this pod goes on that long. I mean, look, the Video Jukebox Song of the Day just passed 1,000 episodes recently. We're in the 70s here. So, actually this is episode 80. So we got a bit of a long haul. But yeah, we'll have 5 great biopics for you next week, and then I will be back with the Devil Wears Prada 2 review. And Steve will be reviewing Michael as well, and that will drop after the theme week. So, pardon me. So we have a lots of fun stuff, but also don't forget everything else going on here on the PlayStation Pop Experience. This week, we have on the Video Jukebox Song of the Day with WrestleMania having just happened this weekend. Kind of a mixed bag. Night 1 was kind of iffy, if you will. Night 2 was tremendous. If you're a wrestling fan, hope you had a good time, and hope our crew that went out to Vegas had a great time. I know they did. And also other great shows. I'm sure there'll be a Making Mount Rushmore soon. There'll be a Pop Goes Degrassi soon. Bells with Books dropped their latest episode last week. So lots of fun stuff. I am mulling over some pod ideas that I may consider doing. at some point. So the Muppet Pod will be coming back. Miranda and I just kind of have to get our shit together, if I'm being honest, and get back into the rhythm there, because I love doing that podcast with her. But also, please check out and support our friends at the PlayStation Wrestling Network, the Backbone Wrestling Network, and the North-South Connection podcast, North-South Connection Network, whatever you want to call them. They all have podcast feeds and YouTube channels. All right, so hope you had a wonderful week and you have an even better weekend. We'll see you back here on Monday. Take care.
Fireflies, they're advertising in the sky.